Hi everyone, I'm Sara Frankenstein. I'm an attorney with Gunderson, Palmer, Nelson & Ashmore, which means I'm in private practice in the occupation of law. You can read all about me on our gpna.com website. You can see my biography, what I've done, and what areas of practice I practice in. And if you really want to spend some time with what people in private practice like me do, you can watch the video about me.
I'm an attorney.
There I am, and my other law partners here at this firm. You can do that on your own time
Small little
later.
towns of Tulare and Redfield South.
So how do you become a lawyer? Here's what you need to do starting now. Start preparing to be a lawyer now in high school. It's important that you do a number of things, starting with learning to love to read. Lawyers have to read a lot. Law students have to read a lot. You have to learn comprehension skills, which means when you read something, do you remember it and do you understand it well? And that's an important skill to develop now. You also need to be good at English. You need to develop your grammar skills because lawyers use that every day. We have to draft documents, read things critically, and be able to come to conclusions, and those things are often based on just the most basic elements of grammar in the English language. Start now studying and practicing things that develop your logic and your critical thinking. So much about being a lawyer is just simply critical thinking, understanding things, putting the pieces of the puzzle together so you come to the right answer. And in high school, you already know you need to learn to juggle your schedule. You've got opportunities for extracurricular activities, you've got to study, you've got a home life, maybe you've got a job, and you have to learn how to put all of that together and be successful in all those areas. The same applies once you get out in the real world, especially in the legal career. So learn how to start doing that now while you're young. Once you graduate high school, you need to go on to college if you want to be a lawyer, and you need to get a degree in some area of study. You don't have to study anything in particular, but there are some undergraduate degrees that are more helpful than others. For instance, government and civics degrees, business, economics and finance, criminal justice, political science, and of course, English. Those are all very good areas of study that will help you develop not only critical thinking skills, but an understanding in these areas. And this kind of understanding in any of these topics will really lend itself well to a legal career. After you've graduated college, you're going to have to take the LSAT. What is the LSAT? It's the law school admission test. The LSAT is different than what you've done in high school or college. It has 5 sections of multiple choice questions and a writing sample at the end, and it tests different things than what you've been tested on before. You can study for the LSAT, but much of it is more like an IQ test. The logical reasoning and the analytical reasoning portions really test your understanding of putting together various facts and coming to the right conclusion using your logic and skills of analyzing things well. Of course, reading comprehension, you have to read through segments of text fairly quickly and then fully understand it and comprehend it to score well. There's a variable section and then a writing sample at the end because, of course, lawyers have to be able to write well, and law students do too. Your next step is to apply for law school. Get into law school. Any law school can get you a degree and help you prepare for the life of a lawyer. To get into law school, though, you need really good grades from undergrad. You also need to have a well-rounded career, such as extracurriculars, maybe a job, other things that you've done to make yourself more than just book smart, but have an understanding of the world and an ability to do well in life in general. Law school requires 3 years of study. It's intense. I recommend you do not have a job while you're in law school and you solely focus on your studies. It's very difficult, but very rewarding too. In the summers, you have the summers off for law school, but you can get internships, such as at my law firm. You can intern for judges, prosecutors, defenders. You can intern in just about every area of the law, and that gives you a glimpse each summer of what the life of a lawyer is like. When you graduate from law school, you're going to have a JD. You're going to be a Juris Doctor, have a Juris Doctorate, which is kind of cool because I'm Dr. Frankenstein, but most people don't call me that, even though I really secretly like it. You do also have to have some pretty high character and fitness aspects too, because in addition to passing undergrad, doing well in law school, and passing the bar exam, which you'll take after law school. You also have to pass the character and fitness portion to get your bar license. What's that mean? You have to think now about whether or not you want to get in trouble with the law, because once you do, it might foreclose your ability to become a lawyer. So work hard not to get in trouble with the law, and do well with your finances, to have a good credit score so that doesn't keep you from getting your law license. What can you do once you get your law license, or even if you don't, you just have your Juris Doctorate? There are lots of areas that you can work in with or without a license. We're going to talk about areas today where you can practice law because you have a law license. And some of the things you can do with a law license include private practice. That's what I do. That's when you work for yourself or at a law firm and you take whatever client comes to you and do whatever they need you to do. You can choose the type of law you want to practice when you're in private practice. You can choose the clients you want to take on and what matters you want to take on for them. Some people like to be general practitioners, meaning they will try any area of the law and practice in a wide range of areas. Others, like me, like to specialize and develop an expertise in certain areas or even just one area. Areas of private practice that are popular are practicing family law. That's helping people who need a divorce, who want to adopt a child, or have battles over child custody. Family law is very popular because there's really a need for it. Same with criminal law. Anytime somebody is charged with a crime, that defendant has the right to an attorney. And in private practice, you can defend those who find themselves in trouble with the law. Estate planning is important and popular too, because everybody should have or needs at some point a will, a trust, or if they die without a will, that attorney needs to help their family through probate to divvy up the property of the deceased under the law. Everybody has a job, everybody has an employer, or they are an employer, so there's always problems and issues and other things that arise in the employment context. So employment law is a popular area that you can practice as well. Some other areas include construction law. Every building that gets built usually has some kind of issue because a number of people, a number of construction companies, and others are involved, and oftentimes there's contracts and other things, even disputes that arise when buildings get built. Some other areas of private practice include business transactions. When you buy or sell property, when your company merges or acquires other companies, or you just want to start a business on your own, you want to incorporate it and figure out what to do to be an entrepreneur, then you need a business transaction attorney. Workers' compensation is when an employee is injured on the job. There's a lot of injured employees, unfortunately, so workers' compensation is a big area of law. You can work in health law. You can work for a hospital or just for clinics and other healthcare professionals, and there's a large body of law to learn if you want to go into that field. There's more areas than I could possibly talk about, so whatever interests you, there's probably an area of private practice that you can go into. Something that I do a lot of is litigation. What does that mean? That means somebody sues another person and it becomes a court case that's filed in court. I particularly love these because it means I get to be in front of a jury or in front of a judge. A court trial means it's just a trial to the judge only, but you get to do what you see on TV. You get to be a lawyer in action in court, and those are very stressful, but I think they're really fun. Common areas that get litigated, that become court cases, are car crashes. Those happen all the time. When somebody is at fault and runs into somebody else, there's usually a lawsuit that ends up being filed. Employment disputes, like I said earlier. Business dealings, whenever you have a contract, there's oftentimes disputes whether somebody breached the contract. And as you've seen in the news lately, election disputes can come up, particularly during election years, and there's actually lots of court cases, especially now with regard to elections, and I handle those too. Those are fun. Some other areas of law that you can go into is working for the government in various areas. You can prosecute crimes, which means be elected the state's attorney of your county or the district attorney of your county, or work for one who is elected, or you can be a public defender where you're assigned the defense of criminal defendants who can't afford their own attorneys, so you work for the government to provide those people with a defense. You can work in law enforcement, like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or the CIA. With a law degree, you really can do just about anything in government. Keep in mind, when I told you to watch out for a criminal history, jobs like these, you're often disqualified if you've ever tried drugs, have a criminal history. To apply for the FBI, for instance, which I did once upon a time, you have to take a lie detector test in order to establish you've never done drugs, committed crimes, etc. So don't foreclose those areas because those can be really rewarding. You can work for other areas of government, like work for your local school district, being their school attorney. You can also be a city attorney, helping your city government function properly. And then you can work for the Attorney General's office of your state. You can run for Attorney General yourself and work for the state, applying state law in the state's favor. You can also be in tribal law. Every tribe needs attorneys to help them negotiate all the laws, but especially tribal law and the interests of the tribes. What does in-house counsel mean? You can be an in-house counsel, which means you have one employer, you just have one client, and it's that client who actually employs you. You become their employee as opposed to being in private practice. A lot of large businesses need in-house counsel because they have enough work to keep one attorney busy full-time. You would work right in their corporate building, and that's why you're called in-house counsel. Some examples of being in-house counsel would be working for a college. Colleges oftentimes have several in-house counsel. Hospitals, certainly. Large businesses, tribes, etc. There's lots of opportunities there. Usually later in life, after you've gained some experience practicing law in some method, you can become a judge or become a mediator or arbitrator. There are state court judges, there are federal court judges, tribal court judges, administrative law judges or ALJs. Those work, for instance, in the workers' compensation area or other type of administrative state government. And we always need people to handle mediations, which are negotiations that are done just privately, and a mediator needs to be the referee of those, and arbitrations, which mean like private trials that just take place maybe in a conference room where you've agreed that an arbitrator instead of a judge is going to determine the outcome. Those are all excellent jobs too. What's the life of a lawyer like? I won't sugarcoat this. The life of a lawyer is stressful. If you like challenges and you like rising to challenges, then you would thrive at being a lawyer. If you don't like stress and don't handle it well, you would not do well in the role of a lawyer. But I will say, with all the stresses and challenges come rewards. Whenever you are being tested and much is required of you, when you reach a win, a settlement, or something else that benefits your client, it is very rewarding. It's also fast-paced. The phone doesn't stop ringing, the emails don't stop coming in. Clients need help all the time, including on weekends and at nights. You'll also be required to travel oftentimes, which can be really fun. Sometimes it's just driving across the state, and other times it's getting on planes and going to other cities around the country to work with clients, expert witnesses, etc. Any job in the legal career pays well. Some pay better than others, but any job with a law license is going to pay well, so it's well worth pursuing if it interests you. When you're a lawyer, everybody wants you to serve on their committee, on their board, help them with whatever endeavor they have, especially if it's without pay, if it's just a community service that you could provide to the community. You'll get asked constantly to serve on boards, and you get to choose the ones that you want to say yes to and provide help to the charities that interest you. Other things you should know is that as a lawyer, you can do free work called pro bono work to whoever you want, to whatever charities you choose. You can do pro bono work for low-income people. Whenever you choose to provide free legal work, it can be very rewarding and feel you full of purpose that you're able to help people in that way. You will often be asked to present or speak. Lawyers are often asked to run for office. They're often interviewed on the news and the newspaper, and you'll just be stopped on the street and by all your friends and asked your opinion. You're expected to know more than most people or have the inside scoop on some of the things going on in the news. You're held to a higher standard. Lawyers, of course, have to abide by the law like everyone else, but they also have to abide by what's called the rules of professional responsibility, Lawyers have another set of laws and rules that apply to only them, which require a very high level of ethics. So your life will often be scrutinized, and you always have to be held to account for the rules of ethics as well, or you can lose your law license. Lawyers work a lot. Lawyers generally don't work from 8 to 5. We answer those phone calls and emails on the weekends, late at night. We do whatever it takes to meet deadlines and meet clients' demands, judges' demands. And so with working a lot, it usually means making more money. So if you're okay with that, lawyering would be good for you. If you like the subject matter that lawyers work with, but you don't really want that kind of lifestyle, look at other areas of the law, such as being a paralegal, a legal secretary, or something else in the law field, especially if you're good with computers. You'll have all kinds of involvement outside of work because, again, people will ask you to serve on their boards. You'll want to serve for charities and be helpful because you have the knowledge and the ability to help people. So you'll find yourself very active even after you leave the workplace. People will demand much of you. What do I mean by that? Your boss, if you work at a law firm, maybe you work for a state's attorney, whoever it is, expect a very high level of work product, results, the amount of money you make. Judges expect much of you. When you walk in their courtroom, you should be fully prepared and the judge will question you. All of that can create stress, but it can also be thrilling if you're able to prepare yourself and rise to their expectations. Most people feel like those demands are an honor. It's an exciting challenge. It's rewarding. Some people find that stress just beyond what they want to deal with, and then they move into other areas, all of which are easy to do, to move into other areas with a law degree because it helps prepare you for just about any type of occupation. I hope I convinced you to at least look into becoming a lawyer. Whether you want to be a governmental lawyer, in private practice like me, in front of juries, or never do any public speaking and you prefer to do business transactions or trust and estate planning, any of those areas are open to you. Start planning for it now. Becoming a lawyer is something you need to plan and prepare for, but it is definitely worth doing. If you have any questions, please go to my website or you can contact me. Again, I'm Sara Frankenstein with Gunderson, Palmer, Nelson, and Ashmore. Thanks.